So, welcome everyone. It's good to see all of you. Have you brought along any questions, anything you'd like to discuss?
Is it important to sit with the spine straight? Yes. When you do meditation, what about laying down meditation?
Generally, you can practice in any kind of position, right? You can train your mind and your emotions and your body in all positions, okay? But if you really want to build deeper qualities, deeper concentration, deeper insight and so forth, you have to open your body, you have to become a vessel in which stillness can happen. And for that, it's really important to stretch your spine. If you are interested in real practice and you want to develop deeper qualities, that is really important.
So sit up straight.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you can, the legs are not that important. You might be sitting on the chair, it's fine, you can sit on the ground like you're sitting, it's not a problem. What's important is that your spine should be upright. That's like, I'd say in the posture, the spine is like a real big key point. Really important. So in the beginning, that's quite painful. If you train, especially if you have injuries and stuff, then it's really difficult. In the beginning, a lot of people give up on that. They think, oh God, I can't sit, it's too painful, and then they go onto the sofa or lie down and make themselves comfortable. Fair enough. That's okay, but in the beginning, really, it's important to be able to build good posture. Look, the whole point of yoga, for example, is to be able to sit still for a long time in a very good posture. If you see in old times, like the pictures that are where you can see like Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and so forth, they're always like depicted as very majestic postures, very powerful, upright, straight, calm. It's very inspiring. If you see that, you see it as like, wow, you feel you want to do kind of the same and enter this kind of peaceful, majestic state. And also in the old yogic texts and the real original old practices, which were very, very tough, there's nothing in comparison to what is taught in the mainstream today in yoga, which is more like for relaxation and just getting your body, moving it a little bit. Or before a long, long time, you had to hold postures. It's very intense training, very difficult. And it prepares the body, it makes a vessel for the mind to become exceptionally still, to go into very high levels of meditation. That's what this is for. And while it is painful and it is good, you can learn a lot of qualities. Patience, for example. When you practice, you have to sit quiet and you have to learn to relax. In that, you build patience. What you find when you do posture training in specific, very cool thing happens, yeah. Maybe you cut off in the traffic or something unexpected happens which would usually make you upset and unhappy, but you will find yourself relaxing and maintaining your posture inside. So the body, we train the body, and by that we train the mind. And the very first thing that we have good access to is our body. Like, it's very hard to get access to the mind because we're mostly preoccupied with the body. And when I say that, I mean that our experiences are predominantly the experiences of the senses. We see, we hear, we taste, we smell, we feel. And usually that's all we ever experience, isn't it? We don't really experience anything outside of that. Or would anything come to your mind that would be outside of the realm of those senses? Thinking included. Thinking is considered the sixth sense in Buddhist theory. So all we ever experience is either seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, feeling, or thinking. Right? And our mind is mixed up with all of that. So what is aware is always mixed up with what you're aware of. So we cannot separate awareness from the objects of awareness. They're kind of entangled. And that we feel identified with this. We feel, for example, I am the body, or I hear, or I see. We're identified with these things. So we're very bound up with the body. So before we can transcend the body and experience something that is beyond the body, it's a very good idea to train the body, to open it up, to give it, so that it can become very quiet, and the mind within it then can follow suit. Think of the body like a cup, and the mind like water in it. Only for the sake, for this particular example now. You put down the cup, and the cup is still, the water in it becomes still. If you move the cup, the water moves. So every time you move the body, the water in it, the mind is moving. Okay, this is a very simplistic example, okay? It definitely doesn't hit on the deeper levels. But for the beginning and for posture training, it's an accurate example. So still the body, learn to make it still. And you will see, actually, just being able to sit still for 30 minutes, perfectly still, you will notice your mind will become still. Just because your body is still. It's pretty fascinating. Also, another thing is, how can you tell somebody that is really good at meditation and somebody that is not? You look in the room, if you see a room full of meditators, those who sit like statues, totally quiet, hardly even a breath. You know these guys, they have a deep state of mind. They're very calm, they're very relaxed. I can tell. I look into the room and I see some people, they move a lot. They're very nervous. Their minds are still very bound up with the body. They don't know what to do with their minds yet. But then you see people who practice for a longer time already, and they become very calm. The body doesn't move. There's no need to fidget around a lot. That's a sign they're very comfortable within their own skin. That's what that really means. The body is super important. You want to train it well. So well, it's a whole journey that is mental development, is concerned with just the body.
There is such thing as a posture training?
Yes. Just
to sit correctly?
Yes. The goal would be, the way I've learned it so far is, so you want to be able to sit still for an hour. Like really still. No fidgeting around, not even your fingers. If you itch, you don't scratch. You train like that. This is one goal that you can reach. And of course, you start with maybe 15 minutes, then you build upon that.
What about like cramp and stuff like that? Just leave it.
Yeah, with a cramp, that's a thing. I don't know if you're really cramping up or anything, you won't be able to. You should take care of it, I think. As in the beginning, I would take care of it. Maybe later on, when you're a bit more fit and when you really know what you're doing, then you can even let that go and it will calm down because your mind becomes calm. But in the beginning, yeah, move. No need to be too perfectionistic there. You want to have fun with that. It's really important. A lot of people who in the beginning are confronted with a very heavy-duty training, they give up because they feel like, oh, I can't do it. Meditation is not for me. What a pity. They think, oh, if I want to be a good meditator, I have to be a very tough cookie. I have to be that guy that's gangster, that does the whole thing for an hour without blinking an eye, And even if blood comes out of my nose and my ears, I'm going to bite through it. Not good. Not good at all. But some people, they think that that's what they need to do because some teacher tells them that's what you need to do. You need to know your level and take care a little bit. I've done it many ways, and for me it works best to push my boundaries but not punish myself. You need to be careful with that. There's a thin line between that. Some people, they like to have this masochistic kind of vein, you know, they want to, they feel like I only do it if I suffer. Then that's the real thing. Not really. I don't really think that is applying for everybody. If you follow a teacher that has had experiences like that, the teacher will teach you like that. If you follow a teacher that has different experiences, they will teach differently. So you have to kind of find what works for you, but keep pushing your boundaries and seek for evolution. Seek for learning and for growing. You want to get better at something. So you need to kind of push a little bit. If you're not pushing, you won't grow. So every time if you feel a little bit of pain and you just give in, you train yourself that every time you feel some disturbance, you need to follow it. That's not too good, right? You don't want to get that habit. But at the same time, every time you train yourself that you need to grind your teeth and bite through it, and you're training yourself to become very tense. That's also not good. So find the balance. It's a good question. Did it clarify?
Normally I lie down to meditate. Now I maybe push myself and just sit up.
Yes. But remember it's not about like pushing yourself, it's about growing. So seek that growth. It's not just pushing yourself.
Because now I kind of like meditate, like relax, like very relaxed.
Good.
Lay down, like
yeah.
Maybe if I want to grow a little bit more, try sit up
yes.
sometimes.
Yes.
Okay.
So here is the idea, okay? It's a basic idea of that, that progression, okay? Let's say, for example, you train patience, and you're very impatient person. So you start training patience. Like, let's say it's really difficult for you to lie down doing nothing for 10 minutes. It's super hard because you immediately feel like you're useless and you're wasting time and like that. So you lie down for 15 minutes, pushing the boundaries a bit, learning to relax while you're in those 15 minutes. Then you push it more, you push it more, you push it more until lying down is kind of plateauing. You're patient enough, you can lie down for whatever amount of time and you stay patient. So now, how do you keep growing? Maybe try standing up. So you stand for 5 minutes. I feel like it's so hard to stand for 5 minutes. Okay, then practice there. Then you bring it into situations, difficult situations. What is it in your life that makes you impatient? Practice there. You know, might be your spouse, you know, your significant other. Maybe they make you super impatient, which is often the case. Great. Then there's your practice in your household. Maybe it's when you're in traffic. Maybe it's when you need to wait for something. Maybe it's when plans suddenly change. And so gradually you up the pressure, okay? And you up the training so that you're continuously growing your patience until you're able to take a whole lot of pressure, very hard, very difficult situation. Like, let's say, a cancer diagnosis, and you're patient, and you're at ease, right? That's a higher level. You started off with 5 minutes lying down. That already made you nervous. And now, because you've trained so much, you're now able to do the cancer diagnosis and take it with patience. I've heard once of a technique that is used in Chinese Kung Fu, actually, where you train your hands. So they would line up bamboo staffs next to each other, at first loosely, like this. And the thing is, what you do is you stick your hand through it. Pop, pop, pop. You train to punch through the gaps in between the bamboo staffs. You do that a long time until you kind of get used to it. Then they would tighten up the ropes, and so the staffs came closer together and a bit more tension. They would train, it's hard, they would do it until they can do it easily, then tighten up again a little bit more until it was so tight, so packed. It's super difficult to get through it, but because you've built up to it, you can do it. And somebody from outside who's never done this might look at you and go like, wow, that's insane. How can you do that? Well, because he's built up to it. We do the same with patience, with concentration, with wisdom, insight, and so forth. We build up to it. That only works if you push, but not until you break. And not staying too limp. It's this balance. Make sense? Yeah. So it's a real training. It's not just like waiting for something to happen. Surprisingly, a lot of meditators, they meditate like that. Or they wait for something to happen. They sit down and it's like, okay, I need to focus on the breath and something's supposed to happen, like something nice. Okay, let's see. All they see what's happening is thinking and shopping and this and that and oh God, so much nervous energy and oh, meditation is not for me, and then they give up. You make it happen. Train. Get better at things. That's how meditation is really beneficial in your daily life. It changes a whole lot of stuff. Okay. Any other questions?
And also you have to sometimes shift your attention when you start thinking, meditate, and then you shift to something else and you start thinking, something like that, during meditation.
Yeah, thinking stops when you don't care about it anymore. When it's like, it doesn't matter. Thinking, not thinking, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's like, you sit here right now, the wall behind you, it's there, but it really doesn't matter. Now it matters because we're talking about it. Make sense? Now you feel it. It's, oh, there's a wall behind me. You didn't even know that there's a wall behind you until now. You didn't feel it, didn't think about it, but it's there.
But at one point, it sort of stopped thinking.
Yeah.
But then your attention will have to be somewhere else.
With your breath. What we did today, right? So you breathe, and then what you want to get is the feeling of your entire body breathing. Yeah, and how do you get that? You make it. Okay, it's kind of like imagining it, kind of, but you do it with your feeling. There's a word, visualizing, which is visual. What we are doing is we tactualize it. We feel into it. We produce a feeling. How might it feel when you're breathing through your pores? And you kind of feel into that. Remember when you were children? I said it last time, I say it again. Remember when you were children? You could effortlessly just imagine that you're Batman or Supergirl or something like that, and you would just play, like jumping over hot lava or doing all these games that children play. They have no difficulty imagining themselves into a situation and feeling it, to the point where they don't know what's going on around them anymore. They're so absorbed in their game. That's what you want. So when you meditate, you feel what's going on. The priority is on feeling. You want to feel. Breathing in through your pores, breathing out. Produce that feeling. Concentrate on it. It's nice. It's enjoyable. If it's not enjoyable, if it's not nice, you'll have a hard time concentrating on it. Okay?
Feeling the body.
Yeah. You breathe through your pores. In and out. With your whole body. And you start just concentrating on your breath a little bit, just as we did today. And then slowly, slowly, you progress from that. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Okay, one last question.
Yeah, sure. Go for it. I mean, yeah.
I had a conversation with my sister about patience. She's got a client, and then the client sort of like, trigger her a lot of things, like, okay, late, not on time, and blah, blah.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'm losing my patience, stuff like that. I feel weak that I'm losing my patience.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm like, okay, maybe you have to let your emotion out, tell them, what you're feeling and blah, blah.
Yeah.
Or is it better for her to be patient?
It depends what she wants. Like, let's say she commits and says, I want to use every situation in my life to cultivate patience. Well, then she needs to use the situation to cultivate patience. Let's say her patience is not her priority. Then she can do different things, right? It depends what she chooses to make out of it. If she makes up her mind and says, okay, this guy I will use for my patience. There's actually a story about Atisha is an Indian master, I think somewhere around the 12th century, something like this, I'm not sure. And he traveled to Tibet from India to restore the teachings in Tibet that have declined, the Buddhist teachings. So they were inviting him from India to come over as a great master, to come over the mountains and so forth. It's a long trek from India into Tibet, through the mountains, very dangerous. And so he had this huge caravan of people following him. There was a cook, there was like people who took care of this and that, a whole lot of monks. So there was this one particular guy, the cook, and he was super obnoxious. He annoyed the heck out of everybody in this troop. He was just constantly joking with everyone, okay? And like really bad jokes at that, probably. Like it's constantly annoying everyone on this path. So the monks, they wanted to concentrate on walking, maybe, I imagine it like that. They want to do their walking meditation, they want to do their contemplations as they're walking. Then the cook would come along and joke with them, and you know. And so everybody got really annoyed slowly as time passed. They got more and more annoyed. So at one point they had their camp. And so a bunch of monks decided to just visit Atisha, the head of them all, and tell him, like, can we not just get rid of that guy, like abandon him on the path and let him at some village. And Atisha said, no, absolutely not him, because I chose him to come along particularly because he's so annoying, because I'm currently developing my patience. So he chose to, and so the monks heard that. And of course they were super inspired by it. Wow, oh yeah, we could do the same. We could develop our patience. And so everyone started to practice together to become patient, to become spacious, to allow for the world to be the way the world is, and to let go of their anger and their frustration and develop kindness instead, and so forth, yeah? So they all used the situation and transformed it, right? That's the idea of the path. If you want to do it like that, you do it like that. You can tell. Was it your sister? Oh, yeah. So you tell your sister, okay, if you want to become more patient, you can use the situation to fuel you to become more patient. Maybe not. Maybe it's more of a situation where she needs to learn to say no. Maybe she's a person that cannot say no.
I think it's something like that more because she's like she said she feel weak.
Mm-hmm.
She's like have to be patient with him instead of tell him that he disrespect her time and stuff.
Yes, that's an important distinction as well. You know, patience does not mean that you become a doormat. Very important. Or patience does not mean you willfully place yourself in front of others and let them walk all over you. Have no more boundaries, no more limits. That very often is a case of people who are afraid of hurting others because the repercussions mean that if I hurt that person by saying no, they won't love me anymore. And so they live in this fear and therefore become people pleasers. They do everything others want from them. Then in that case, it might be a good idea before training patience to train strength. And to learn to be clear and kind with oneself and others. It's a very good training to do that. It's probably a separate topic another day. All right? Are you happy? That's good. Then have a nice night, good evening, and a nice weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Practice well.